Hello and welcome back to another video on the Wrestling Debate and to another edition of NXT Out of 10. Big show today. Obviously it's Halloween Havoc next week, so yeah, it's kind of the last preparations for that. We've got another will they or won't they coexist storyline because we haven't had enough of those recently, so let's get straight into it. Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams kicked off the show and celebrated becoming North American champion. He said that from this point he was on the top of the ladder and was going to run things. Johnny Gargano came out to interrupt and congratulated him. Gargano wondered what was next for him and challenged Carmelo to a match. Trick joined about Indy before Dexter Lumis showed up and attacked them from behind. Melo and Trick fled the ring without the title belt, and Lumis and Gargano stood tall in the ring, taunting them as we headed for the commercials. Yeah, good to see that storyline still going. This was a fun start to NXT. Before you got Odyssey Jones versus Andre Chase. Prof Chase was back again in his sweater to face Odyssey in the first match of the night. Jones tossed Chase around the ring as the match began, but Andre managed to get some kicks in. Chase then went for a tackle but bounced off the big guy before Jones knocked him about some more and hit a huge power slam. Jones then hit a running splash and picked up the W. I'll give this a 6 out of 10. Yeah, another one for Odyssey Jones. He looks really good at the moment. Andre Chase, it's a shame, but you know, when you come up against a guy like Odyssey Jones, I don't think you're really harmed too much. But moving on, the Creed Brothers vs Imperium was next. Brutus and Eichner kicked off the match and Julius was in control before Bartel hit a big suplex after tagging in before Roderick Strong ran interference from the outside. Eichner then got the tag and deadlifted Brutus from a rolling senton. Creed then tagged in and took a big move from Bartel before Jiro and Kushida came out to the outside. Imperium took advantage of the distraction and Bartel picked up the win. This ended Creed Brothers' winning streak. But yeah, the match was still good on the whole, so I'll give it a 6 out of 10. We then had a load of backstage segments, but NSK attacked Imperium after the match and wiped them out with a double tag team move before diving on top of them. Yeah, looking forward to that match. That should be good. I wonder if we'll get it next week. Probably not, but potentially. Wagner and Kyle O'Reilly were then on a camping trip and Carl realised that they could do some serious damage if they joined forces. Good thinking, mate. Before Joe Cassidy cut a promo, he looks a little deranged, but when it turned out he was talking to Harlan, whom Gacy called a snowflake. Jesus Christ. Legado del Fantasma was then out next and called Carmelo a lucky SOB, taking the North American title. He said that Melo's luck was running out as we headed to the next match, Elektra Lopez versus Cora Jade. Lopez had control early on and knocked Jade around the ring before Jade fought back with some chops. Lopez was tossing Jade around the ring before Cora suddenly rolled her up and picked up the win. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Yeah, it wasn't a special match, but you know, it keeps Cora Jade's run going and she's looking really good, so yeah. But moving on, next up it was Io Shirai versus JC Jang versus Pirota. The winner got to spin the wheel, but I'm not sure what difference that really makes, to be honest. But yeah, JC slapped the face of Pirota, who took control before Shirai tossed Pirota out of the ring before throwing Jace on her and hitting a moonsault. Shirai then locked in a crossface on Pirota before she lifted the tag team titles, but Shirai got countered. However, she managed to quickly get back in control and hit a moonsault for the win. Shirai and Stark then spun the wheel, and it turned out it was going to be a Scareway to Hell ladder match. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's a really great match. And the stipulation sounds good, so yeah, good. But anyway, Ika and Jiro Kushida were backstage on NXT 2.0, and it looked like they were going to team up in the fight against Diamond Mine. This was really odd, but you know, it is what it is. Tony D'Angelo was then in action against Ru Feng. D'Angelo was dominating early on, and his opponent got some kicks before Tony came back and hit his finisher for the quick win. After the match, Tony was having an in-ring interview as he was asked about the missing producer for last week. D'Angelo called the interviewer a snitch and handed her some money to forget about it. Yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It was fine, just a squash match. Before Briggs and Jensen versus Legado del Fantasma was up next. Jensen was lying on the floor backstage after an attack before the match. Jensen took a beating in the ring before Santos Escobar hit a cheap shot. Legado was then hot tagging in and out, isolating Briggs in the corner before Jensen came back in and managed to take control of the match. Jensen then wiped out Escobar before Legado hit a double team move to pick up the win. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Yeah, it was fine. It was nothing special. But you know, it had a nice little story to it, so on the whole it was good. Carmelo and Trick then found a note with them to find the North American title. Lunas invited Melo to an open house to come get his crown. Very nice tactics, Dexter. And then we got LA Knight versus Grayson Waller. Waller was dominating early on and hit a massive clothesline and a dropkick before Knight managed to hit his finisher out of nowhere after taking him down from the turnbuckle, securing his spot as the host of Halloween Havoc next week. If there's nothing else for him to do, then I suppose it can only be a good thing. So yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. But moving on then, it's Will They Coexist time. Tommaso and Braun versus the GYV. Breaker and Drake kicked off the match and Braun was in control early on. Ciampa then forced the tag, but Braun refused and they were arguing as the two GYV members took control. Ciampa managed to clean house though as the main event continued. After a break, Drake was hit with a big move and Gibson took out Breaker. GYV then isolated Ciampa before getting near fall. Ciampa was in trouble but managed to make the tag after Breaker wiped out Gibson. Breaker then made the tag and looked like he would hit Ciampa but attacked Drake in the ring instead. Gibson interfered but he was tossed out of the ring, but Breaker picked up the win on Drake with a power slam. And yeah, that was it. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 though. It was more of just this useless rubbish. I mean, if you've watched Raw then you know that you'll be on the point of caring about this, and that's basically where I am. So yeah, not great. This week, NXT gets a 6 out of 10 from me. Yeah, I enjoyed this week's episode of NXT. It was pretty good from start to finish. Lots of, you know, still introducing new characters, but you know, the storylines are starting to grow. More and more people are like getting into the mould in it. So yeah, it's definitely improving. But anyway guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Let me know thoughts, comments down below. Follow me on Twitter, link description below for daily wrestling news. And subscribe to my channel, that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.